Hey guys, happy Tuesday, December 11th. It is 2 weeks before Christmas. Hopefully you guys are all on the good list and not the naughty list, and you're prepared for this Christmas. Enjoying these last few weeks with your family and friends. I can honestly tell you, short of getting a tree last weekend, I have done nothing in terms of preparing or preparation for this Christmas. So it's definitely going to be a different Christmas for me and the family this year. But anyway, I wanted to talk about a few things. It's only been about 12 hours since I did my last video last night, but a few things came up and developed and wanted to share with you. One thing I've read that struck me. So in the meter of funny and sad, I'm going to start off with something sort of humorous and funny, and it's going to end up being a somber video. But I'll just talk to you about it. Anyway, a couple of days ago, my son, while I was working, lost his tooth. Fell out. And then in the hustling back and forth between getting trees with mom and me, and both he actually misplaced his tooth. So he was concerned. At 9, he still believes in the tooth fairy, and was concerned about the tooth fairy not having a tooth to find. So I said, why don't you write her a letter, and maybe it'll work. So he sat down before bed and he wrote a letter, and I have to laugh at it. So here's what the letter looks like. He folded it up and he said, Dad, I used fancy writing, so maybe that'll help. So it says, to Tooth Fairy from Landon, 12/9/18. And it says, Dear Tooth Fairy, I sadly lost my tooth, but you can even ask Miss Jamie. She even saw my tooth. Those of you who don't know, Miss Jamie is my significant other, and she was home with him when he lost his tooth and I was working on Saturday. The P.S. May I please have my money, please? But what makes me laugh is he drew this picture. He tends to raise his eyebrows like this a lot, and he drew a picture with his raised eyebrows and a smiley face with gaps in his face from all the teeth that he's missing. So I had to laugh at that picture. So I thought I would just share it with you guys. So that was that bit there. But then I also want to turn into something else. My last video I talked about having a disciplinary issue with him, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but I got to give him credit. So yesterday I had a meet the teacher meeting with his teachers a few weeks back and said, look, you know what, I'm concerned about his behavior in class, showing respect to his classmates and yourselves. Anything comes up, please let me know. And I got an email yesterday afternoon from the teacher, and said, hey, earlier in the week, last week, he had done this, and then yesterday, the kids were all causing this little ruckus, and when we dug down into it, it turned out Landon said something really egregious, and I agree it was egregious, and it really upset me. So I thanked the teacher and let him know I'd look into it. So when he got home, his mom and I spoke with him, and one phrase I always use with my kids, and so far I've never had any problem with it, is I say, always tell, who do you always tell the truth, me and your mom, because we'll always have your back. May not agree with you, may be disappointed in you, but we'll always love you and have your back. So, if you ever ask my son or my daughter who has your back, they'll always tell you Dad. So yesterday when we were talking to him, his mom had told him what the teacher said, and he owned the first one. And the first one, frankly, I don't think was all that crazy, but he said, yeah, I shouldn't have said it, I apologize, and that was that. But then the second one came along, and he said, Mom, I never said that. He said, well, why did you apologize to the teacher if you didn't say it? He goes, she just came up to me and said, Landon, you shouldn't use those words, that's inappropriate. So I didn't know any better, so I just apologized. And it had me thinking, before I was ready to snap off on him a little bit and use this teaching tool, I had to kind of point the thumb at myself and teach myself, one, I don't think he would own one without owning the other. Two, he's never really lied to me before of any substance. So I had to send an email back to the teacher and say, hey, did you, look, I'm going to use this as a learning tool with my son, but I want to be as accurate as I can. Did you hear him say these words, or did you hear somebody else tell you he said those words? Because that's what he claims. And what was funny was in her email, the teacher said, the kids were causing this ruckus and throwing a hat around, and after we dug down into it, we found out that Landon said this. So I'm wondering, again, if the teacher heard the words directly, then that's one thing, I'll certainly deal with it that way. But if they didn't, there's certainly a lesson to be taught, but maybe not as severe. So, and maybe it's a lesson for the teacher as well. Teachers are not perfect and can be fallible, so I'm waiting to hear back about that. So I know yesterday in my voicemail or my video I said I needed to deal with a disciplinary issue, so maybe it wasn't as big a deal as I thought, and maybe I almost accused him falsely because of an email from the teacher. So wanted to share that with you. But a couple of other things I want to talk about. I tried to actually write some notes down today. I can't even read my, oh, there we go. So the next thing I wanted to talk about and this is just an observation, but I really give credit to somebody. Um, I'm not anybody but just a normal schlub, um, and a dad and an employee, and that's all I really am. Um, Soon to be author, though. I'm excited about that. Uh, but anyway, I've never been a celebrity, so I wonder how celebrities think and deal with. They deal with things on a different plane than us average everyday people do, and there's a lot of ego that goes along with being a star of any magnitude, whether it's sports or music or performing at any level. But so I'm a big sports fan, and I was really impressed with something I heard yesterday. Um, and whether it's just words or really belief, and I do believe it was belief, I just really think it's a perfect. I think it's a perfect role model teaching thing. So, and I can talk with my hands now, which I like to do. Anyway, the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame, has this extended vote after the typical vote a couple years later. People that didn't get in have a chance to get in by this. It used to be one facet, now it's something else. But anyway, there's a ball player that played for the Yankees back in the day. You all know I'm not a Yankee fan. There's a ball player named Don Mattingly, who is now a manager in the major leagues and was a tremendous ball player, but for a short period of time he got injured. And baseball, more than any other sport, is a sport that rewards longevity. It doesn't matter what your average is, this matters how many hits you got. It doesn't matter what your record is, this matters how many wins you got. So if you play for 25 years versus 15 years, you should amass bigger numbers. Anyway, Don Mattingly didn't get into the Hall of Fame, although another player with similar, very good stats did get in. And I guess a lot of the players are being asked, hey, does that give you hope and things like that. So they asked him, does it give you hope now that Harold Beans got in to think you can get in? And I loved his answer. And I always just imagine myself, if I was ever in that position, would feel that way. Now, again, it's easy to say not being in that position. But that Mattingly basically said, look, if I get in, it's great, right? But all I really do is when I sign my name on an autograph, I write HOF at the back end of it. It doesn't change, who I am. And at the end of the day, I want to be a good dad and a good husband and a good manager, whatever that means, he said. And I think that's really something to be, I really think if we all bring ourselves back in, so many people seem to want to, especially with social media and the way, we have TV channels just dedicated to these 16 and pregnant and the Kardashians and this and that, and where we celebritize. I'm not sure what really. I'm not sure what even these TV shows, Floribama Shore and Jersey Shore, and I'm not sure what we're really celebrating. So it's really refreshing to see somebody grounded to say that my identity isn't that role I played or that song I sang. My identity is I'm just a person. I have some talent, maybe I have some money as a result, but I thought it was really refreshing to hear Don Mattingly say, it'd be great, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't change who I am. If it does happen, it doesn't change who I am. I just get the right Hall of Famer behind my name when I sign an autograph or something. And I just thought in this day and age, there's a lot less of that and a lot more of, Real Housewives of whatever, and Basketball Wives and Survivors and Big Brothers and just complete silliness. But anyway, so I wanted to call attention to that. But then there was a really neat story, and it's kind of a sad story as well at the same time. I posted some pictures on my Facebook today. There's a story. If you're a pet owner, it's amazing to how we all feel about our pets. They become part of your lives. They really become part of your family. Some people to the extreme. And there was a story that I heard out in the California wildfires that I'm not quite sure how this worked out or played out, but this family had to leave quickly and leave their dogs behind. But this adoption place or this foster place could only take one of the two dogs, and they literally left the second dog behind. And they've been gone for like 6 weeks now. And when they returned, I think they did put out food and water for it, so they tried to let it survive, I guess, as best they could. But when they returned home in the last few days, this dog, 6 weeks not seeing its owners and its brother or sister, was there waiting for him. And I thought, what an amazing story. And I love my dogs. They're great. Animals are great. And then just last night, it's kind of sad to me, sad to a lot of people, I'm sure, especially. One of the hardest things about owning pets is that their lifespan is much shorter than ours. So you've got, at least for me, I come to terms the minute I get a pet that I've got to prepare that at some point I'm going to be putting that pet down in most cases. Not that it's easy, but it helps me when the time comes to know that, and like I do with everything else, I appreciate every day with the animals. So because that day's going to come, you know. Anyway, one of the dearest members of my PTT family that I met and was integral in getting me through to the end was a gentleman by the name of Jim from Hobart, Indiana. And I met Jim, and then later on that same day I met Jim and Misha. And Misha is his